Namaste, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to another Friday afternoon Qigong session with the Golden Light Network and me, Amy Yasmin. So, we're going to do our usual warm up. So, find yourself a nice, comfortable position, some comfortable clothes, and enough space to swing your arms around, and we're all good to go. So, find what feels good, listen to and take note of your own body. It'll be different every day, and let's start with our general warm up. So we're going to be flexing them wrists, creating a nice figure of eight pattern, really letting the fingers flex as we roll the wrists over forward, letting the shoulders drop down the back body, the elbows drop, and going backwards. And this is just silk reeling, we call it, and it's just letting the joints open up as we now open up the elbows. We do the same things pretty much every week with some slight variations because the body knows what's coming then. There's consistency and it's a practice you can do for yourself then anytime, anywhere. So let's move on to those shoulders and let's just roll the shoulders, really letting the upper shoulder, the tops of the shoulder, bring those arms around. And going the opposite way, so push the backs of them palms away behind and then around at the side. And again, roll them backwards a couple of times to reset them. Okay, so let's open up the neck. Listen to your own body for this one. The neck, to create some extra integrity, you can lift from the crown slightly, so you can imagine a line of opposition between the tailbone and the crown, and that'll just bring some extra support for the neck, starting with the hands in front of the abdomen and taking them around to the sides. Let the fingertips drop down and turn to look over that shoulder. We're not overstretching the neck. It's just to bring a bit of an opening and a turn. With silk reeling with these exercises, Al turns its head. We're just opening the joints to their natural points of mobility and inviting a gentle stretch. Really let those shoulder blades drop down the back body, taking a nice deep breath, letting the fingertips drop down to center, and to the other side. Again, we hold for a second, keeping the crown nice and lifted, the back body melting down, fingertips heavy. And back to the center. Lovely. So let's do stork spreads its feathers now as well to open up the sides of the neck and the tops of the shoulder line. So this is the gorgeous one where we take our hands and we're going to scoop the waters. We're going to scoop around and we're going to push them out to the sides and let the shoulders relax down the back body again, fingertips drop down. So again, scooping those waters and let the fingertips drop down. Final time. And this time as the fingertips drop down, crown lifting, you can then take the neck to gently roll over the shoulder, imagining a line of opposition between the crown and the opposite fingers. Bring some extra alertness and some extra release. You can imagine breathing out any tension or tightness here. A lovely one for taking off any tension that can often get held in the shoulders. Any stresses from the week, they can get held in the body. And just with breath, with awareness, with some gentle exercises, we can help the body to release. So final time before bringing it back to the center. And now just notice how you feel in your shoulders and your neck. So let's carry on with our silk reeling warm up. So we're going to warm up the hips and the waist. And we'll just start with our upper body, just circling. So imagine from here downwards is set in concrete, and it's just going to be opening up. So this is going to open up the side body a little bit as well. Just getting a nice little spiraling going through the torso and the opposite way. They do say in Chinese medicine, if there's one thing you do to do in a day, is to open up that waist, the hips, bring that spiraling energy in. As we're now going to open up fully, rotating them hips as well. So one direction. And then the opposite way. Lovely. So let's do our usual tray of teacups. And this one, I'm going to have my feet slightly wider for this just because today's we're going to be focusing on the lower body for our new exercises. So you'll see my hands better this way. So I'm going to take those palms facing the ceiling, fingers facing behind, and we're going to take them around to the side to face away. They cross over, they come to face the abdomen, they're facing away and back over the head. So again, they turn round the side. We're holding teacups, so we're trying to keep them palms nice and straight and upright as we come round. Fingers placed behind, forward, abdomen, away, behind. And then you can add your hips in. And you can imagine this spiraling movement, moving right the way through from the toes, the soles of the feet, all the way up the body, through the bones, the spine, through the arms. When you get to the top this time, pause and go the opposite way. So again, fingers come round, face away as they're crossed, face the abdomen, face away, face behind. And just focusing on keeping them palms upright will help you with this movement, and you can bring in the hips if and when you're ready. These exercises have taken me many months of practice to bring my body into coordination. So find where your body, your mind is at today and meet yourself there. Taking those fingers for a final release of the shoulders, just push to the bottom corners of the room, letting those shoulder blades drop down and release. Lovely. So let's warm up just slightly into the lower body because we're going to do some slight squatting today. Don't worry about it. You're going to find what feels good and works in your own body. These can be done seated as well. So you'll find some more seated variations on the YouTube channel. As we're just going to gently, we can rub up and down on the thighs. We're just lifting from the tailbone up and down. We're just bringing a bit of lower body awareness, waking up those legs. We can start to notice where the breath is and breathe with the movements, finding what feels good. Just have a gentle circle of the knees. Always be careful. I've got sensitive knees. If there's any points of sensitivity in your body, just gently meeting yourself where you are. So we've got some nice opening in the knees. And the final one that I find so valuable and important, and if you're barefoot, really let them toes flex, just opening up the ankle joint. If you're used to running or standing, walking, it's not necessarily getting that nice full rotation and giving it a nice shake. Before we go to the next one, really circle them toes and ankles. And this one again, balances are great for just bringing the body into focus, bringing the mind into the moment, and just loosening up the body. Okay, so let's open with our silk reeling, which is the one where we imagine a wave coming right the way up through the whole body. Okay, so we start with the hips go back, chest goes forward. And as the hips go forward, the chest goes back. And we're lifting up. So we're imagining a wave is coming from the soles of our feet all the way up the body. Hips go back, chest forward, chest back. Okay, so this is going to support us with a nice waving movement. And then find what feels good in your body. It's like lift and then over, just to loosen up like silk being played. You can imagine silk. If you've ever played with circus things and you've done this and you can see them waving, it's kind of like that through the whole body. Just loosening up and letting that energy, that blood circulate a bit more freely and a bit more loose. Okay, I don't know about you, but I feel better for that. So let's open up the spine. For a couple of exercises, there's a couple of ways we can open the spine, and because of today's exercises, we're going to focus on the turning of the spine. So we can do this one with knocking on the door of life, which is both invigorating, focusing on our lower abdomen and our lower back. Either side of the spine, but never directly on, is where our hands are going to come to bang as we twist on this one, but to start gently, not a big thrash. So just start by turning in that inner waist level. You can imagine a line going a spit, like you're turning and you're in a fixed point in space. So it's a very subtle turn. Okay. And then you can bring your arms. So the arms are just following because you're turning at that inner waist level. And then you can bring the arms in and give them a slight lift. And if it's comfortable and feels good, you can turn and look over the shoulder as well. So often the spine doesn't get its full range of motion, its full movement. So give it the space to just release. It's like wringing out any tension or tightness while invigorating that door of life, that lower dantian, which is where our energy, our qi is stored in Chinese medicine, the body energy. Okay, so we'll just do some gentle, once we've stretched and opened up, we do a bit of shaking or tapping to just release anything that's stuck in the body before we go on to our standing posture and our flowing sequence. And today we're going to do two from the sequence we're used to, and then I'm going to introduce two new exercises to move us on now and progress our Qi Gong. So let's start with shake the tree, just to release the whole body, release any tension or tightness. So we're going to just bounce first, feet kind of shoulder width or slightly wider, and just bouncing and imagine the tailbone just lifting and sinking. Keeping a nice straight line of opposition through the spine, tailbone and the crown oppositional, pushing away from each other. And then you can just let the shoulder blades drop down. And you can bring in an audible sigh here. So the sigh in itself releases markers for stress in the body. Lee Holden, one of the Qigong instructors, has shared how modern science is starting to show how exercises like this are helping the body and the system. Really let them wrists flex. They can carry a lot of tension and tightness, especially if you've been using a lot of devices on your phone. Let the fingers flex and release. And at this point, you can scan your body. Notice if there's any areas of tension or tightness, and you can just imagine them releasing, breathing, bringing awareness to that part of the body. Feels good to me to have a slight twist in this today. Find what feels good. Listen to your own body. Qigong's all about finding what feels good and works for you. The wonders of technology. Hopefully that's cleared that one. Right, so fully releasing and relaxing. Let any tension and tightness go from the lower body and the knees. And then slowing it down, and noticing how we feel. So now this is the point we come into Wuji, which is our feet shoulder width or slightly wider. We're letting the tailbone sink, the crown lift, slight tuck of the chin, and we're letting them arms be nice and rounded. And this is going to be helpful for one of our flows today as well. With our hands, with the palms facing upwards at the abdomen. And then we can imagine breathing a ball of white light in the abdomen to let that mind sink down into the body. To let the mind meet and unite with the breath. That steady rising and falling. Notice where your breath is landing in the body. And then you can invite it, without effort, you can invite it to sink deeper. Not trying to force it, you're just giving permission for your body, just relaxing, allowing. You can imagine with each breath that ball of light in the abdomen expands. With every exhale, it contracts. Letting the fingertips stretch slightly wider apart. Standing posture is lovely for whole body awareness. Just for another 30 seconds for a minute. Use this one to build energy, and you can place the tongue on the roof of your mouth just behind the teeth without touching, just to link the microcosmic orbit, the front and back, the yin and yang channels, which helps that cycle. Lets the energy just circulate and balance itself. Keeping that breath nice and deep and low. Noticing where the shoulders are. Got a slight bend in the knees. Final nice deep breath. And let's go on to our flows. So we're going to start with two of the last ones from our last set of QiGong. So we're going to start with opening the chest, which is where our palms are facing the floor. We're still in that Wuji stance. We imagine a slight rising from the abdomen to the chest as we open the arms up and to the sides. We're not overly stretching, still allowing them elbows to be loose, the shoulders relaxed. So bringing the arms up to chest level, open up. And then you can keep alertness, a slight tautness, like the skin of a drum on those hands. Imagining the hands drawing energy from all around you, drawing in a deeper breath or a light, however it helps your mind to just imagine and stay in the moment. Imagining just that extra breath helping with the movement. I find these become more and more effortless after a slightly longer time in Wuji. And the more I bring my mind to unite with the movement, the intention to lift, as I breathe in to open and breathe out to release. And with this one, you can see from the side as I lift, the arms don't come past the shoulder level. We're not stretching overly behind us. It's just a lifting and an opening of the chest. Awareness like a ball of light lifts from the abdomen to the chest. Expands, we gather, and it sinks back down to the abdomen, building each time. So I repeat our flow sequences. Allowing space and time. And the next time you complete that movement, bring your arms to the side and notice how you feel. And let's bring in our flying hands. So hands trace up to the abdomen, where they widen to shoulder width. We turn at the wrist and we let it sink. Again, keeping the shoulders relaxed. Gentle in the elbows. We're letting the back of the wrist guide the movement away from the body. So we feel a slight lift from the abdomen to the torso. We widen, we let them fingers come up, we let the wrists turn that movement and sink. And again, you can imagine the awareness lifting from the abdomen to the chest with the inhale. You can invite a slight pause of the breath as the wrists turn and exhale. And by slowing the movement, you slow the mind. Deeper breath invites more energy into the body, supports that relaxation. Things flow more freely when we're relaxed and spacious. And this time, bringing the arms to rest gently. Taking a nice breath and notice how you feel. And this is the point we introduce our new posture. So we're going to go, feet are going to be slightly wider than shoulder width. So we can take our feet and just scoot out. So you can scoot out with the toes and then onto the heels and then feet facing forward. So we're in kind of, they call this the horse stance, my boo stance. So we've got a nice wide stance, but we're not overly wide, finding a comfortable stance for you because we will be squatting slightly. So you can see my toes on this side facing forward, facing the wall in front. Okay, so our feet are nice and wide and we've still got a bend in the knees. We're letting the tailbone sink, but we're keeping nice and upright in the back. Okay, and for this one, we're just going to start by turning out. Okay, so you'll see from here, you can see my feet just turning outwards. That's the first movement. Just turning on the heel from facing forward to facing the other wall, turning at 90 degrees. And then we can add moving that whole body. So we're imagining we're on that spit. We've got that metal pole through the body, and we're just turning to face the other side with a slight bend in the front leg. And then we lift the heel, we lift the toes even. So we're grounded in the heel. To come back, we lift the toes, turn on the heel, and drop it down again. Okay. And now we're going to add the arms. So we're going to take one arm up and one arm down at our chest level. So the upper hands below the chin, the lower hands around our lower dantian, our abdomen level. And you can imagine holding a pane of glass between the two palms. So they're nice and close together. Imagine holding a pane of glass. And in that slightly sunk stance, we're going to again turn on the heel. So them toes are now facing 90 degrees away. We're going to turn in the upper body, and we're going to let the lower hand come round to throw a frisbee. And this hand is just going to stay in front of you at 90 degrees. So we've got one hand here and one hand here. And then we'll lift the toes, turn on the heel to face that wall with the toes. And we've got our pane of glass again. And this time we're going to turn to the other side. So lift the toes, turn, we bring them to a different, so the plane, we're moving the glass to that plane, and we're going to take the lower hand to throw a frisbee, and the upper hand is going to stay in space facing 90 degrees, facing this wall. So we lift the toes, turn on the heel, holding our pane of glass, we turn, we throw the frisbee, and we let the other arm come to rest at 90 degrees. So we breathe into the center and we exhale, throw our frisbee, keeping nice and straight in the spine, finding what's comfortable for your body, always stopping if there's ever discomfort, especially when turning in the spine and the knees. Okay, so the knees slightly bent, we're turning, we don't go over the toes, we're nice and upright in our stance. This one's called flat diagonal flying. So breathe out to release, to throw the frisbee. Breathing into center, turn the plane, throw the frisbee. Come back to center. Okay, bring the hands to rest at the lower abdomen. Just taking a nice deep breath. Before our final exercise, we bring the arms up to our hugging a tree kind of position, stand like a tree. This time the feet are shoulder width, so we're back into our narrow stance. And to do this, you can just heel toe into a comfortable stance. Letting the shoulder blades drop, lifting the crown. Noticing our stance, like bending the knees still, Wuji. And this time we're just going to turn again from this inner waist level. Just going to turn. Practice that turn. So we're still nice and upright, like a pole. We're turning from that lower waist level. Okay, once we've got that, we're going to turn. And we're going to turn that so the palms are facing forward. And now we're going to turn so the palms are facing away and lifting slightly. This one's called cow gazes at the moon. So turn at the waist. Turn the palms to push slightly outward. Again, we're not overreaching. It's just the intention. This one really supportive of digestion. You can imagine the stomach, spleen kind of area pushing slightly back against the hands. So as the hands push out, there's a slight push back in the back body. And this is just creating some extra space in the back body. And a great one for circulation as well. The moon in Chinese medicine, symbolically associated with water, with circulation. And our hands are at our heart level. And we can exhale to lift those horns and inhale back to center. So we turn nice and upright, exhale, lift those horns, inhale to center. One more time to each side. Arms come to the abdomen, and let's draw down the heavens. So we just take the arms to the sides and gather. And imagine purple light washing down through the head, the shoulders, the chest, the back body, all the way down. Okay, 2 more times. You can slightly lift in the knees and then sink. Imagine purple light just washing down, releasing any other tension, any other tightness. A nice slow breath at your own pace. And final time. This time, gather whatever quality of your energy you're most needing, whether it's peace or joy or energy. You're letting that permeate, sink in through every cell until you get to your abdomen, where the tiger's claw, we call it, between the thumb and the first finger overlap. And we just bring that to center in the abdomen, circling up the right hand side of the body and down the left, mirroring the intestine, the abdomen, to a smaller and smaller ball. Feet come closer together. It's like bending the knees, lifting the crown, and we just let that body rock and sway for our final few moments, like bamboo in the wind. Breathing into the abdomen, final couple of breaths. And when you're ready, feet can come to shoulder width. Again, a final circle to just bring awareness to the body. Bamboo sways in the wind. You can stay in for as long as feels right for you before you center. Final deep breath into the abdomen and release with an audible sigh. So, namaste. Thank you for joining me. Let me know how you found those exercises today, and I'll see you again on a premiere for next week where we're going to repeat the same sequence to get used to our new exercises. So, find what feels good, take good care, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.